Hey, welcome to the Nursing Dose with your host, Dr. Farrett Laurent. Today, I want to talk to you about why you, as a nurse, should be building your brand, right? And how to build your brand. And I'm going to break down why it matters for your career and your business, okay? So, I say build like a brand. So, what does that mean? When we think about these big brands that we see out there, they've been building brand for years and years and years, right? And their business has been really sustainable. They're known for something. So, if you think about a good example I like to use is Nike, right? Nike's been around for a really long time. I actually did a project in my doctoral program that talked about Nike's sustainability in business and their brand and looked at their values and everything. But Nike typically does not speak about their shoes, right? Which is their product. It's much bigger than that. Their brand represents several different messages. It's about, right, having elite athletes. They care about social impact, different things like that, right? So, what I want to break down for you is why is it important for you as a nurse to have a brand and to be known for something, right? So obviously right now in the economic uncertainty, there's a lot of shakiness, a lot of people are getting laid off. You don't want to be known, right? Or call yourself like just a nurse because we're not just a nurse, right? We're much more than that. And if you want to grow in your career as a nurse and unlock opportunities, go to the next level, you have to learn how to position yourself for success. And it starts with understanding who you are at your core, not just the title of just being a nurse, because a lot of times we get kind of stuck in that identity, right? But how do we move beyond that when we're building our brand so that we can unlock different opportunities for career growth. And if we want to go into business, we will have opportunities to do so, right? So, for those who don't know me, my name is Dr. Farrah Laurent. I've been a nurse for over 20 years. I am a nurse career coach and brand strategist for nurses. I'm also the host of Nurses Making Business Moves and the founder of Nurses Making Business Moves conference. This conference is happening March 6th and 7th in Tampa, Florida. This is your only chance to get your ticket is this week. Tickets, if they sell out, that's it. But you do have 3 days left to get your tickets, and this Friday, the 20th, is the last day to purchase your tickets. So you only have 3 days to get your tickets. What is this conference? Who is it for? Basically, this conference is the number one business conference for nurses and entrepreneurs, really coming together as a community to talk about financial literacy, business education, and how to build wealth, right? As a nurse and an entrepreneur. It's not just your typical nursing conference, it is filled with entrepreneurs, both nurses and non nurses. You're going to get information from all different industries, access to people, to speakers, attendees that are really crushing it in their industry. And this is what I want. I want a space, a safe space that we could talk about normalizing wealth, learning about business skills, and why it's important, not only if you are an aspiring nurse entrepreneur or want to grow your business, but why it's important even as a nursing student, as a new graduate nurse and beyond, because we need to learn these business skills and the acumen so that we can grow and empower nurses, right? Because once nurses are empowered to have different opportunities to build wealth, we know that we'll have better communities, right? It's all about economic power, and you need to build wealth to get there. So that is what this conference is about. All are welcome. You don't have to be a nurse to attend. You could be a student in marketing or in business. If this conference speaks to you, We welcome you into the community, into this room. And it's not just a conference, it is a movement. Okay. So that is what it is. I hope that you join us in Tampa. And if you're somewhere where it's cold, full of snow, the weather is going to be amazing. It's going to be great community, great company. And like I said, it's over a weekend, a Friday and Saturday. Networking is the first weekend. The second day is a full day conference. And really, people leave transformed. Their mindset shifts from an employee type mindset, shifts to an entrepreneurial mindset. You can see the endless opportunities that exist, not just in nursing or in healthcare, but beyond into the marketplace, and really start unlocking opportunities and having multiple streams of income when you start learning the fundamentals and even how to scale your business if that's what you're interested in, or how to negotiate your salary and start building wealth where you are now. Okay. So let's get into why it's important to build a personal brand. What is a personal brand? And how do you start building that? Okay. So I know this word gets thrown around a lot, personal branding, but it's essentially what you're known for. What do people know you for? What do you do? How do they describe you? How do you make people feel when you're around them? And what impact or purpose are you trying to make, right? What are you known for? Okay. So for me, when I first started creating content, I started my business. To me, it was very important to support the new generation of nurses and to support the new graduate nurses, right? Part of my brand is helping nurses understand that they are unstoppable. The opportunities are endless and they don't have to be just in the hospital system. I want to encourage nurses to see beyond the traditional roles and to see all the different opportunities that exist, right? Many times in nursing school, we're told we can't do this, we can't do that. So I developed a brand where I'm literally challenging all those old school narratives and showing nurses that anything is possible. You literally just have to believe in yourself, have that conviction, and you have the power to do it. Okay. So that is part of my brand of being unstoppable and really being bold and following the career path that you want and defining success in your own eyes of how you see success to be. Many times in nursing or in healthcare, we're traditionally trained to think that degrees equal success, climbing up the ladder equals success. I was chasing titles myself for a long time. I'm like, I really loved education. I wanted to be a director of education. And I was always like, how do I, go into leadership and become a director, become the next thing and get the next degree, right? And then when I started getting into those roles, seeing all the constraints, I thought, wow, like I can make a bigger impact in a different way. And of course, because of all my advocacy, I was actually laid off 3 times in 5 years and realized very quickly that just because you're a nurse does not guarantee job security. And that's where I started realizing the power of a personal brand. When I started building my personal brand, meaning managing my brand, showing up on social media, being visible in person at events, creating content around my thought leadership, being an expert, a new graduate nurse expert with my background being an emergency nurse, having my master's in education, having a doctorate in organizational leadership, I quickly realized that taking all the skills that I've had, all my past experiences, and putting my thought leadership out there to make a bigger impact globally for nurses to be known as the new graduate nurse expert that is helping nursing students and new grads land 6-figure roles in their preferred specialty, like the emergency department, ICU, L&D, NICU, and psych. Because guess what? They told me that I could never be an emergency nurse right out of school, and I wanted to change that narrative. So that is part of my brand. I challenge the old school type of thinking in nursing, and I help others shift their mindset and see beyond those traditional roles and normalize talking about negotiating your salary, wanting to make more money, wanting to work less and make more. What's wrong with that? So I literally wrote a book. I don't talk about it often, but I wrote a book called Nurses Making Money Moves, a nurse's guide to starting a business. And traditionally, you don't associate nursing and money together. And some people might think, oh, why is she talking about money and nursing and all that? But if anybody knows me or my brand, I am very real with my content. Yes, we are a service providers. We provide life-saving services to the community. But guess what? We cannot be stuck in survival mode if we're just living paycheck to paycheck. So I normalize talking about money, wealth building, so that we can still keep nurses in nursing so that they can be happy and provide the care that they want if they choose to be at the bedside, right? So this is all part of the brand of letting nurses know that they have options. Okay. So this is why it's so important to build a personal brand, to be known for something. So for me, again, I'm known as a LinkedIn top voice. I create content all the time. I am a content creator. As you see, I am an author. I am a podcaster. I've been going live for the last almost 5 years consistently every week. I am a thought leader in nursing. I have been invited to speak on stages. I am a keynote speaker. I speak on entrepreneurship and branding for nurses. And I speak about the new graduate nurses and their transition to practice. Those are all things that I'm known for. But the first thing that I started with was being an expert as a new graduate nurse. So, my number one tip for those that are thinking, how do I build a personal brand and how do I start? Start with what you know and what you want to be known for. Okay. So, again, it starts with having that clarity. For me, my purpose and impact is to impact the next generation of nurses so that they can come into the profession excited, ready, and doing what they love, right? And that is my message. And to stand in their values and not settle for less. That is part of what I want to be known for. What else do I want to be known for? Basically, having positive energy, lifting up our profession, even though, yes, there's a lot of, different things that have to be fixed, but I try to really keep it positive and to keep it attractive for others to enter the profession because there are so many opportunities. I also want to let nurses know that it's important to educate the public and the media to uplift this profession so that we can attract more people in nursing because there are so many different roles. Okay. And clarity creates opportunity. So, as I mentioned, I'm a new grad coach that helps new graduate nurses land their six-figure roles, land their specialty area. And I am telling them that, yes, it is possible and you don't have to settle. Okay, I run a weekly webinar every Thursday. So tomorrow we'll be going live at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested to join, go to newnursejob.com. You can join the free webinar. Okay. So that's number one. If you want to build a brand, you have to know, what do you want to be known for? Okay. And how do you stand out from everyone else? Okay. So number two, you have to increase visibility. I talk about this all the time. Visibility is more important than your resume. Visibility creates opportunities. If you are in person, at events, on social, creating content, writing articles, that's all part of your brand building, right? it will create more opportunities for you. It's like being top of mind. If people see you all the time, you will be top of mind. So for me, you guys are constantly seeing me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. I just started recently on TikTok, but it's safe to say that Dr. Farah Laurent is top of mind because she is constantly visible, creating content. Most recently, I made my way over to Washington, D.C., and I made it a point to be at the American Nurses Association Opportunity and Impact Summit. Okay. I had Dr. Katie Boston Leary on my podcast. We talked about the summit, and I made sure that I could at least attend for a day, even if it was for a day. Because for me, it is important to show up consistently in person, at events, and online. Again, not just to be top of mind, but also to network, to build community, to support other people, and, you know, to really get my message out there and the purpose. I got to touch base with so many nursing students. Um, I was a little bummed out because day one and day two had so many HBCU students there from Howard. And I totally missed that. And there was a lot of people that I didn't get to see the first day and the second day, but it's okay. At least I got to connect with amazing individuals that I hadn't met in real life, but I did reach out on LinkedIn. We had Zoom conversations, phone calls, and things like that. So it is important to be visible, both in person and online, and to give value to your audience. So, me consistently every week, I create content around personal branding, entrepreneurship, business, how to build a business as a nurse, and how to be successful as a new graduate nurse in your interview process, how to land a job confidently. And I talk about all the things that are not really like Googled, right? Just earlier today, I had an interview session with a nurse that's interested in a mother baby position. We talked a lot about personal branding, how to communicate with confidence, all those things, because it goes beyond just answering interview questions. It's about storytelling and the impact and the values that you hold, and how do you express that and position yourself for success in an interview. So, again, number two is visibility. So important. Visibility in person and visibility online. All right. I see some recognizable people on TikTok on here. So thank you for showing up. What's up, everybody? And if you're just joining me, I'm talking about the importance of building a personal brand and building a brand as a nurse. Because whether you know it or not, you do have a brand, and it is your duty to manage that brand correctly so people perceive you in the correct manner that you want to be perceived in. And it's not about making stuff up, it's just presenting yourself in a way that is aligned with your values, the purpose, and, you know, the impact you want to make, so that it's all in alignment. Okay. So, number one, we talked about define what you want to be known for, who you are, and how are you demonstrating that. Number two, increase your visibility, because that will eventually lead to more opportunities. But first, always come with the mindset of what value do you bring. You know, as I mentioned, I've been consistently creating content for almost 5 years now, going live, sharing all my frameworks, my strategies, my content for new nurses, and also aspiring business owners. Okay. And that is what actually got me to become a LinkedIn top voice, not only once, but twice. Once in public speaking, and then a top voice in nursing. And of course, it has grew my following to over 33,000 on LinkedIn. Okay. And of course, simply, if you can't be seen, you can't be chosen, right? So when people see you speak about certain subject, you know, if they see you as a subject matter expert. So for me, I talk a lot about branding and entrepreneurship and nursing, and I get asked a lot to speak on these topics, whether it's on panels or conferences and things like that. And of course, I built my own conference around those topics, Nurses Making Business Moves Conference, which again is happening in Tampa, Florida, March 6th and 7th. And if you haven't gotten your tickets, like, what are you waiting for? Only 3 days left to get your tickets. This Friday is the last day, so go get your tickets. Where do you get your tickets? Go to nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com. This conference is for any nurse. You don't have to have a business. You could be a student. Even if you just want to learn how to grow in your career, how to network, how to negotiate your salary, this conference is for you. If you're thinking about starting a business, this conference is for you. If you have a business and you want to learn how to scale that business, this conference is for you. It is the #1 conference for nurses in business and entrepreneurs. Clock that. Okay. Okay, so that's #2 is visibility. And I talk about this even to my new graduate nurses. LinkedIn is like the top platform that I encourage all nursing students and new grads to be on. Often I teach them how to do a short introduction video. And just from that video, they actually have had recruiters reach out to them to tell them to apply for residency programs or that they wanted to interview them. Okay. All right, cool. Let me know if you guys have any comments, questions. Let me know who's still watching. Drop it in the chat. I would love to hear any of your questions, specifically about entrepreneurship, nurses in business. If you're a new nurse and you want to learn more information, have specific questions, drop them in the chat, even if you're watching the replay. Okay. And then #3, my point about building a personal brand as a nurse is you need to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an asset, right? As I mentioned, these huge companies like Nike, Apple, and all these things, they have an ecosystem, right? People are following them because they believe in their brand so much so that they want to support them. They believe in the values that they hold, and you just become so accustomed to that brand that you want to support it. It's like creating a tribe, right? Same thing. Employees wait to be chosen, and brands create demand, right? So I follow a lot of marketers, a lot of millionaires, and things like that. Once you create a personal brand, it's like, again, you're top of mind. People know you for something. You become like a magnet, right? It's part of it is marketing, but also it's just like positioning yourself for success. People know you. And I'm not saying you're going to attract everybody and you're going to attract all the opportunities. In fact, if you are so clear on your values in your brand, you should repel some people because not everybody should be for you. Okay. So for me, I recently shared that I had applied to a business program, a super popular business program. And then I did some research and I couldn't really figure out what their true values were and if they were involved in something that I was against. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to move forward and apply for this business program because if it is indeed true that they're supporting a cause that I'm against, I want no part of that brand. And this is a very well-known brand that helps people in business. And I'm like, I don't want any of it because I don't want to be associated with other brands that I don't believe in. Okay. And I hope that makes sense because it's all about values fundamentally. If I don't trust you, I don't like the way you move, I don't like the decisions you make, I do not want to do business with you. I don't want to be friends. I don't want to talk to you. So that's why you have to be very careful when you're building a brand, that you're associating yourself with other brands or other people that are in alignment, if that makes sense. Okay. So again, brands create demand and attract opportunities. You're attracting opportunities when you start defining who you are, knowing who you are, showing up consistently, being top of mind, bringing value, being seen as the expert, being seen as the thought leader, you will start to get pulled into directions and opportunities that are in alignment with you and your values. Okay? And then you need to think like you are an asset because you are. You have intellectual property that you could start putting out there and creating an ecosystem. What knowledge do you have that other people need? What can you share out there with the marketplace? Because your knowledge goes beyond just the hospital. And what are you passionate about? What causes do you want to support? All that is part of brand building. Okay. And then number 4, probably one of the most important things about building a brand is sharing your story. People want to go along on a journey with you. They want to have a sense of like, oh, I know Farah. She comes on weekly. She talks about personal branding. She talks about this. She talks about that. And I want to support what she does. You know what? I want to come to her conference because I love her content. I really relate with her. And I see some of my story in her because she is relatable. Okay. And I'm not talking about just sharing the wins, sharing all the awards and certifications. Story builds trust. So you have to tell the whole story. I talk about my struggles. I talk about how I've been laid off 3 times and I had to pivot into entrepreneurship. And this is how Nurses Making Business Moves was born. I had a position, a leadership position that was like a hybrid position. We were moving to Tampa. And literally the day before moving, I got let go. And then I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to continue to do my nurse career coaching. And I'm going to create a space and an event for nurses and entrepreneurs to come together so that I can open up the eyes of nurses, whether they're nursing students or experienced nurses, to understand that there is no job security. There is more to nursing than just the traditional nursing. There's so much more beyond. And the importance of starting to build a personal brand, starting to create content, starting to use platforms to share what is important to you. Like I have a podcast, I live stream, I create content, and you can do the same. Because somebody will find some relatable things. You know, maybe they're struggling with something that you're struggling with. If you share your struggles, your lessons, your growth, that is all part of building that personal brand. And that creates trust. And essentially, at the center of brand building, the center of it is essentially building trust. That's it. If you don't have trust, you're not going to get promoted. You're not going to get hired. People will not do business with you if they do not trust you. People will not show up to support you if they don't trust you. At the core, it is trust. Okay? So, I built an actual brand model. Okay? I call it Dr. Farah Lorentz Trust Brand Model. And I'm going to share this model when I speak in Tampa at the Nurses Making Business Moves conference. It's my personal model that I created. And it's basically at the center is trust. And then there's 3 things. There's visibility, credibility, and value. All the things that I'm talking about. Being visible, having that credibility and that proof, whether it's education or other people are supporting and saying, yeah, for me, I've helped over 200 new grads land their dream role, but I have proof, I have receipts, I have testimonials, video testimonials of people saying that, yes, what she does is true. She really does help me get 6 figures. I recently helped a nurse get into Stanford making close to $200K. right? That credibility piece is, yes, I have a doctorate, I have a master's, I have all this stuff, but also who else is backing that up? Like, what are the receipts? Are you creating content? Are you writing articles, publications? Are you going on podcasts? How is that being supported with that credibility, right? And then you just need to share your story and share your thought leadership and, share your voice, because that builds, again, like I said, credibility, builds influence, and you become a top player in your industry. Okay. And an influence and positioning eventually will bring more opportunities to you, more opportunities and more impact. Eventually, wealth will follow. But you need to position yourself for success by building that personal brand, building that trust. Yes, somebody says kudos to storytelling. Yes. And again, another thing that I share often, another agenda item of mine, is to increase diversity in nursing and in healthcare. I'm a first-gen immigrant. I moved to Canada, didn't even speak English. French was my first language. Um, like most kids, when you move to a different place, there's a lot of bullying, even in nursing school and beyond. So I quickly had to learn advocacy skills for myself. I always didn't, fit in like the typical whatever. So it's important to me to build community. And this is why I create content, tell my story, and have created events like the Inner Circle with Dr. Fair. I shared a video earlier today on LinkedIn where I'm creating these events, dinners, lunches, conferences, like the Nurses Making Business Moves, so that nurses and other entrepreneurs can come together so that we can grow. There's no gatekeeping. It's a supportive environment where people are learning and thriving. And it's, transformations are happening, partnerships are happening. People left that conference launching businesses, launching content, writing books, being on each other's podcasts. So many things have come from the communities that I've started to build. And eventually I will do like a paid community. There's just a lot going on now with just this conference and what I'm doing with the new nurses, because I have a group coaching program. So I'm just trying to slowly build. But a lot of people have been asking me to create a community. So I'm definitely working on a community. If you are interested in joining this community, reach out to me, drop a DM, drop a comment, and let me know, especially if you are on LinkedIn. That is where I am most commonly always checking my messages. So everybody on TikTok, definitely shoot me a message as well if you are interested in joining my community. And my plan is to do 2 communities, one for new graduate nurses and then one for nurses that are interested in career growth and also in business. So let me know, what sounds good to you, what community you would be interested in, and what type of content you would like, what format you would like, weekly lives, Q&As, sessions. Let me know. And then even meetups, because I plan to do different meetups in different cities when I'm able to. All right. So again, if you're just joining me, I'm talking about the importance of building a personal brand as a nurse and why that's important. Number 1 way that you could start building your brand is to define what you want to be known for. And whether it's a business or in your career, you have to be known for something. So for me, I started with being a new graduate nurse expert, helping them with career guidance and helping them transition and to get their first role making 6 figures, right? Then I started writing the book, Nurses Making Money Moves, A Nurse's Guide to Starting a Business, which is a workbook that could be found on my website, nursefair.com. And just from reading that book alone, people have launched their business, right? And then from that book, it grew, right? I started creating more content on entrepreneurship, branding, and then my conference was built, Nurses Making Business Moves Conference, okay? So if you're interested to get your tickets, meet me in person in Tampa and all these other extraordinary attendees, guests, and speakers. Come join us in Tampa, March 6th and 7th at the Nurses Making Business Moves Conference. There's no other conference like it out there. It's specifically for nurses and entrepreneurs. And of course, all are welcome. You don't have to have a business. You don't have to be a nurse. You can be from any industry, business minded, wanting to grow. This conference is for you. I also have a virtual option for those that can't make it in person. And that is also accessible on the website at nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com. You'll see all the different options. It'll say virtual option, in person. You can come with a bestie and save some money. Okay. So again, number one, you want to know what you want to establish what you want to be known for. Number two, you want to be visible in person and online. You have to create content on social media. There's no other way around it if you want to build a brand and manage your brand correctly and accurately. That is in alignment with what you believe in, your brand, your impact, your purpose. And that will start attracting more opportunities, because when you're top of mind, people see you all the time, more opportunities flow to you, and it's just like a magnet. Okay. And then you build that trust because you're consistently showing up, just like I'm showing up every single week to provide content for new nurses and for nurses interested in business. Okay. And then number three, I share you have to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking about yourself as an asset, and start thinking about ways that you can create an ecosystem and start monetizing, whether it's creating a podcast, writing a book, becoming a speaker, a consultant, whatever. Okay. And then share your story and your voice. Storytelling is powerful. And then start before you feel ready, right? A lot of people are like, I don't want to create content. I don't want to be on video. Going live is so scary. I don't want to do it, right? I didn't want to do it either in the beginning. But then when you find out the purpose, the impact you want to make, and you know the goals and the value that you bring and the message you want to put out there, it becomes bigger than you. It's like, yes, you don't have to be made up all the time. And that's not what really branding is. It's not just like showing up curated all the time and having your full glam on all the time. That's not what branding is. Yes, part of it is image and building that personal brand image, but it's not just that. It goes beyond that. That's just one part of it, right? People want to see the authentic you, the real you, in your truest form. Okay. And then number 5, start before, like I said, you feel ready. I didn't want to do videos. Sometimes I'm tired. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go live. But I'm like, no, I love it, right? Eventually, I feel like I get withdrawal symptoms if I don't go live and I don't create content. But yes, after some time, it does become a lot. So my biggest advice is go where your people are. If you're wanting to do a business, go where your people are. Go where they hang out, whether the social media or in person. And if you want to grow in your nursing career, LinkedIn is the top one. LinkedIn is the top. And then try to pick a second one or something if you want, right? But LinkedIn is really the best place to be, okay? And most nurses wait too long. Like, you don't need more experience. You don't need another degree. Just start creating content, start getting out there, start just building your brand. Okay. And don't wait, because if you don't create it and don't manage your personal brand, other people will do it for you. Trust me, you don't want that, because it will not be accurate. Okay. People think they know you. They think they know what you do, but they don't. So in order for it to be in its true accuracy, you have to start putting things out there, writing articles, coming on podcasts. If you don't want to do your own podcast, go on other people's podcasts and start talking about things that are important to you and what you want to share in your message. Okay? And really, your personal brand gives you options. You can track opportunities from it, and eventually will give you more freedom, because the more you build your brand, the better it's going to be for you. Nobody can take that brand away from you, just like nobody could take away your education. It's similar to your brand, right? And you have to be very careful how you build that personal brand, who you associate yourself with, and how you're showing up. And are you showing up consistently with who you say you are, what you do, um, and are you demonstrating that in every interaction? So for me, part of my brand is all about having fun. That's one big thing in my brand. Love to have fun, love to keep it real, big energy, very positive, faith-based. Um, and I'm all about empowerment, empowering women, empowering nurses, and building the next generation, right? Um, building that next generation of nurses, and then giving nurses options, and also letting nurses know that they have choices and that they are powerful. You have the power to do whatever it is you want. You just have to show up consistently and have that drive to do it. And it all starts really with building a brand. And then once you build a brand, a community would follow. So whatever you do next, they're going to be ride or die. They're going to want to support you, come along, listen to the journey. Hey, what are you up to next? Like everybody's always like, Farah, like, let me see the photos. Let me see the video. What are you doing next? I can't wait to hear, because they want to support, because I'm creating this community and it's been going on for about 5 years. And like I said, it's not just all about the titles and the degrees and stuff like that. People notice you showing up consistently, and people see the work that you do. You just want to make sure that it's in alignment with your brand and start defining it for yourself so that it's clear. Because when you have clarity, you will have better opportunities. And that's basically it. Okay. So as I wrap up, I want to say thank you all for spending time with me. I know your time is precious. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Caitlin. Shout out to you. I can't wait till we meet in person. I know I missed you in DC, but I hope to see you soon. And again, I encourage you to attend Nurses Making Business Moves Conference. In this conference, we will discuss all the things I was talking about. Personal branding. I'll be talking about personal branding and my journey as an emergency nurse into education, into leadership, and now nurse entrepreneurship as a mom of two, with a husband and a young family, all the challenges in between, and building this side hustle as I've been working literally full time most of the time, still building my personal brand, starting my business when my kids were just a few months, like my daughter was a few months old, my son was 4 years old. I was working full time as a director in school for a doctorate program, and still built my business. So it is possible if you want to do it. And more opportunities will come to you. The more you build your brand, the more you show up, and the more visible you are, you will start attracting opportunities, speaking engagements, podcast opportunities. I've even been featured on the Jennifer Hudson show for the work that I do with new graduate nurses, and been featured in Black Enterprise for the work that I do with HBCU students, helping them as well land 6 figures, and Sigma International, all these different nursing things and publications. So again, thank you for watching. Please get your tickets at the Nurses Making Business Moves Conference. To come to the Nurses Making Business Moves Conference is nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com. You can get your ticket. The last day to get your ticket is this Friday at midnight. Do not wait, because if the tickets sell out, that's it. You don't want to be the one watching the content and be like, oh, I wish I was there. I missed out on the tickets. I should have got the ticket. You can go with a friend and save a couple $100. There is a student discount. If you're a nursing student and you're interested to attend, let me know. It's about 2 weeks away, Tampa, Florida. Don't give me the excuse. If you are out of Florida, you could easily take a flight or drive over there. You don't want to miss this conference. It's more than a conference. It's literally a movement. It will transform your mindset. It'll transform your life, your career, and your business. NursesMakingBusinessMoves.com. I will see you in Tampa, March 6th and 7th. 6, 7, as my kids like to say. So it's easy for you to remember. March 6th, 6th and 7th, Friday, Saturday. It's a weekend. There's no excuse. Take the time off. You don't want to just be that one that keeps waiting. Oh, I'll go next year. Take action now. That is part of building your brand. That is part of being in community, being visible. All the things we talk about is your time to take action. Take a weekend for yourself. A lot is going on in the world, and it's not time to shrink. It's not time to hide, and it's not time to be in fear. It's time to build, time to be in community, time to be creative, and to start learning other ways to build multiple streams of income. So I will see you at the Nurses Making Business Moves. It's time to make some moves, move in faith, and bring a friend, tell a friend, repost this. Please support. I am still looking for sponsors. Please direct message me if you're interested to support this conference that will bring business education, financial literacy to nurses and entrepreneurs. I will see you soon, and take care. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. All right, take care. Thank you for watching. See you March 6th and 7th in Tampa, Nurses Making Business Moves.